Okay, before we start, the satellite coordinates, Galaxy 17, transponder 17B. The download frequency is 12035.5 horizontal. So without further ado, we're pleased to have with us Senior Devin Davis and Rob Gray. At this time, we're entertaining questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll have our microphone holders come to you. Okay, right over here on the maroon shirt. Please identify your name and outlet. Thanks.
Yeah, Bryce Miller from the San Diego Union Tribune. Rob, maybe starting with you. I know the NCAA tournament format, you're learning about these teams you don't see during the season very quickly on the fly, but San Diego State has this program-wide defensive reputation, but in the short window that you've tried to learn about them, what do you know about them offensively?
They have Trey Kell, Malik Pope, Mitchell, some very good offensive players. I know they haven't been healthy all year, and they're rolling right now. They won 9 in a row. They've been playing some really good basketball, and it's a great quality first-round competition, and we're just looking forward to the chance to compete after losing in the championship game to Cincinnati by 1 point. So, we pride ourselves on defense and rebounding, and we know we'll have a good test coming out in the first round, and we'll get a chance to show everyone nationally that what we've been working on all year and the pride that we have in our defense.
Front row in the aisle.
Joseph Duarte, Houston Chronicle, for Rob and Devin. By now you've probably heard that the last time this program, Houston's won a NCAA tournament game, was 1984. What would that mean to get that first win under your belt if you can win tomorrow night and since it's been so long?
We're going to start with Devin first and Robbie.
It would mean a lot to the program and to the players. We put in a lot of work since June and July to get to this moment, and we don't feel like we're done yet. So we're just going to play as hard as we can and just take it one game at a time.
Yeah, exactly what he said. It'll mean a lot to the fan base, the alumni, and everyone that's affiliated with the Houston Cougar basketball program. We've been battling all year for them, and to make the tournament, I know they feel real good about that, but we're looking to do a little bit more than that. We want to make a run, make some noise, and we believe in ourselves, and we're just thankful that we have this opportunity.
On the aisle.
Mark Ziegler, San Diego Union Tribune. For both of you, people talk about tournament experience, people like tournament experience being important this time of year. San Diego State has, I think, 4 guys who played in it before. I'm not sure you have anybody. Do you think that'll be a factor? And if not, why not?
Did you play in tournament, Dev? No. Yeah. We have a great leader, Coach Sampson. He's had a lot of tournament experience. He teaches us things every single day, and he gives us the recipe to win. It's our job to listen and do our jobs and just compete as hard as we can. So we understand that we don't have any players who've played in the tournament, but we have a great leader that we learn from each and every day. And as far as San Diego State, that'll be an advantage that they have. They have players who've been in the tournament and seen the competition level and understand what's at stake. But we're pretty smart, even though we haven't been there. We listen to Coach Sampson, we watch film, and we understand what's at stake. And we're just ready to go out and compete. And in a sense, it could be an advantage that we don't have anyone who's played in the tournament because we're all so excited to be here. And we're confident in our abilities, and our energy and our desperation is really going to help us with our competitive nature.
Yeah, like Rob said, we have a great head coach and Coach Sampson. We're going to buy in and listen to everything that him and his staff have, because they put in a lot of work into the scouts. So we're going to buy into everything that they're telling us, and we're excited. Nobody's played in this tournament. None of us have ever been here before, so we're excited. We're going to play as hard as we can. We're going to play smart, too.
Other questions? We're going to go to Bryce in the maroon here.
I guess for Devin, back on the thoughts about San Diego State offensively, Trey Kell scored 28 points in the Mountain West title game, and Malik Pope at points in his career has been talked about like an NBA guy. Watson's an experienced scorer. Jalen McDaniels has taken over games at times. When you try to scout a team like that, where do you start in terms of priorities defensively?
The head of our defense, which would be our guards, and it's going to take all 5 defenders on the court to just guard, like the pick and roll. They're a heavy, high pick and roll team. We know that, so it's going to take each and every player on the court to guard the ball. And we just have to stay focused all 40 minutes.
Other questions? Okay, we're going to go to the front aisle and then across.
Hey, Rob, after the Cincinnati game, Coach Sampson was saying that playing so many games that weekend, it kind of caught up to you on Sunday, both teams actually, in terms of fatigue. I think he gave you Monday off. How are the legs and how's the team's, energy right now?
Well, situations like this, you can't afford to be tired at all. I feel great. I'm excited to be here. Those 3 games in 3 days, a little AAU-style format. Haven't played AAU in a long time, so you could tell in that Cincinnati game that it was very sluggish and ugly in the second half. But in games like that, that's where we have to pride ourselves on our defense and offensive rebounding to be able to win. And those have been staples of our culture all year long. So we're just trying to survive and advance by any means, no matter if our legs are a little tired or not. It's all about mental toughness at this point.
Across the aisle.
For both of you, does San Diego State remind you of anybody you played this year that was on your schedule?
We're going to start with Devin, then Rob.
With their length, I would say like Wake Forest, or when we scrimmaged against Baylor early in the year, they just have a lot of length in their front court. So, and talent-wise, I would compare them to Wichita State. They have a lot of talent, 1 through 5.
Yeah, same as he said, Baylor, Wake Forest, those long teams with the maybe 7-footers or 6'10" guys coming off the bench. But we're a very small team. We understand that. I think we're about 318th out of all 351 schools when it comes to height. But we rarely get out rebounded, and we pride ourselves on our heart and toughness. So we're not looking to make any excuses. We're just looking to go out here and get the job done, no matter what it takes.
Any other questions for our student athletes? Go back to the aisle.
The San Diego State coaches have been talking the last few days just about how physical you guys are. Obviously, as you just said, you're not the tallest team in the world, but do you think you're the most physical team in the country?
I'm not sure if we're exactly the most physical in the country, but I think we're in the conversation. I know we're a top 10 offensive rebounding team. We have a tendency to foul a lot, one of the higher fouling teams in the country, but it's just a part of our effort and a part of our nature to not back down and box out, make hustle plays, and just bring it to the competition. So we're definitely going to stick to our style. We're going to try to impose our will and just win a defensive rebound and offensive rebound and battle, and that's been a key to our success all year. So no need to change anything now.
Yeah, we're a team full of little small guys, like little height, but we all have big hearts and a lot of pride, and we're going to buy into the culture, and we'll play as hard as we can.
Up front in the aisle.
Rob, on the fouls, this time of year, do you have to change that approach in terms of not giving, not fouling as much as maybe you would in the regular season just because of the opportunities, the free chances to go to the line for the other teams, and just the stakes are raised at this point?
Yeah, Coach Sampson doesn't change no matter what it is. It could be a scrimmage versus a D2 team. He's been on us all year about fouling and just gift wrapping the other team 2 points. But, it's just something that comes with playing hard and being extra physical, blocking out and pursuing offensive rebounds. So, we're going to try to balance playing hard and playing smart as good as we can. But, there's going to be mistakes. We're all human, so we just got to try to do anything we can to win. And we definitely need to limit the fouls. We don't want to give them any free points.
Still have time for a couple more questions if there are any.
I know you all don't get to play West Coast teams that often, but West Coast kind of has a growing reputation for being, I don't want to say soft, but more finesseful. The type of guys you see on San Diego State's roster, long, really lean, like Jalen McDaniels and Malik Pope. But you don't see the thick guys like you guys have on your roster. Do you agree with that? And when you go play a West Coast team, do you feel like we want to show them how we play basketball over here?
We don't see a difference in West Coast, East Coast. We just see an opponent, and we have to be the best us we can be, play the best that we can be, it doesn't matter who we're playing against. We just have to play to our culture, play to our style of play.
Yeah, I don't know if we played any West Coast teams this year. No. I will say, though, watching film on San Diego State in the Mountain West in the tournament, it is a little different, as far as like the ball pressure and denial. It's just kind of like, more finesse, and it's like offensive shootout. Even though San Diego does have a high-ranked defensive team on KenPom, I think they're at 36 right now. So, it may be finesse, but obviously they're doing a pretty good job in their matchups and limiting opponents to scoring per possession. So, we can't really focus on East Coast, West Coast, or anything. You just got to focus on the opponent and stick to our style and just try to impose our will and win the game in the small areas.
Time for one last question. Okay, last question of this session here.
You guys get away with that another question. You look at your roster. You don't have a lot of guys who were five-star All-American, McDonald's All-Americans. You have a bunch of JC guys, a couple transfers from mid-major or low-major schools. Is that an accurate assessment, and does that kind of bind you together and make you the team that you are, because it seems like everybody's got a chip on their shoulder?
Extremely accurate. I know half of our team went to junior college. Me and Devin both went to junior college. No All-Americans, no five-stars, just a bunch of junkyard dogs. And that's how we got to win, We pride ourselves on not being the most pretty and just getting the job done. And it's been working so far, and it's something Coach Sampson sticks to each and every day in practice. And, our toughness is what has to get us over the hump, whereas, other teams may have height, length, or athleticism. So we understand, what we're capable of and what we're up against, and we're going to stick to our game plan, and I'm very confident in my teammates.
Yeah, we don't mind being the underdog. It kind of makes us more hungrier, I would say. We just, like Rob said, we just have to outwork our I guess, less talent or less length that we have, and just play to our culture.
Yeah, and similar, preseason, we were picked 6 in the American Athletic Conference, and, they were going off 5 stars, length, all that. So, we don't pay attention to that. We just let it fuel the fire, and, I'm pretty sure there will be similar assessments here in the tournament. So, we just got to kind of ignore that. If anything, just let it fuel us and get ready to go out there and compete.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to begin our session with Houston head coach Calvin Sampson in his 4th season, first appearance for the Cougars in the NCAA since 2010. Coach, welcome to Wichita, and your assessment of your opponent tomorrow.
First of all, San Diego State is, after watching them, I'm not sure, I don't know what their strength and weakness is, and I think their strength is they don't have any weaknesses. There's not one area watching them that I say, well, we can exploit this for sure. They've got big, strong physical guards. I keep hearing about how physical we are. Our guards are 6 foot, 6 foot, 6 foot. Theirs are 6'4", 220, and one 6'5", 230. I don't get that. So they got a really big backcourt. That causes problems. Big backcourts have caused us problems all year. Cincinnati, was 6'6" and 6'6" on the wing. Wichita State was 6'6" and 6'7". Those teams with big wings have caused problems for us. And then, inside, those are usually rock fights. So. But San Diego State's very talented. Pope and McDaniel, we don't have guys like that. We don't have guys like that in our league. Probably the best inside player in our league is Morris from Wichita State. Best overall player may be Clark from Cincinnati. I think Morris is probably about 6'8", Clark's about 6'7". So, you know, we haven't seen this kind of length this year. Probably the team that had that kind of length that we played against was probably Wake Forest, maybe. Providence. Providence was big. Wake Forest had a couple 7-footers. So San Diego State's very good. Brian Dutcher does a great job of coaching his team. They're well coached and very disciplined. Good guards, good front line, good team. There's a reason they've won 9 in a row.
Okay, this time we'll take questions. Please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone holder over to you. Front side aisle.
Mark Ziegler, San Diego Union Tribune. Just listening to you, it sounds like you're the 11th seed and they're the 6th seed. You guys have a chance tomorrow?
I think that seed and stuff, you can put that in a bag and throw it in the ocean. I mean, what does that mean? You know, how do they know who the seeds are? If you look at the two teams, we are the 11th seed. You know, look at their players and look at ours. You know, we're 6 foot, 6 foot, 6 foot, 6'5". I just like their roster. You know, they've done a really nice job of putting that team together. And they've got a two-headed point guard that's really good. Watson and Hemsley complement each other well, so they don't take a dip when they go to the bench. I think that's what really good teams do, is they have depth. They have 7 or 8 starters. So Hemsley and Watson are really good at the point. You know, Kell is a great closer. He can, he's one of those guys that can get the ball to Pope, Mitchell, McDaniel throughout the game, and all of a sudden, the last 5 minutes, he wins it for you. It's nice to have a guy like that. But I've never been concerned. You know, you don't know what you don't know. You know, but people that take stock in seeding, you know, well, you're a higher seed and they're a lower seed. After the 1 seeds and 2 seeds, everybody's about the same as far as I'm concerned. 3 seeds. There's some 3 seeds that could be 2 seeds, but once you get from 4 to about 13, I think it's, and everybody tells us about parity. And all of a sudden we get to the tournament, you forget parity, and you start talking about seeds. What happened to parity?
Go in the front here in the maroon, Bryce. Then we get.
Coach, at least program-wide, San Diego State's had this national reputation as a defensive team, defensive-minded. That's how they stayed in games. That's how they limited opponents. This team seems to be breaking out of that mold a little bit offensively with more options. Is that accurate in your mind, or what do you see about them offensively?
Are you from San Diego?
Yeah, San Diego.
You know way more about that than I do. I've never seen them before. I've never seen them play, except on film. How many times have you seen them this year? So you answer your own question. What do you think?
I'm just curious, through the film the last couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know. You know, I mean, I've never seen them in person. So, you know, I have to read about them and look on film. So I don't know that I'm qualified to answer the question. But after, you know, reading and catching up on them, it sounds like they struggled early because of Kell being out with injuries. You know, and I think about if Rob Gray was out with injuries for us, I mean, we'd struggle too. But I think I go back to I would answer that question, I guess, with my initial thought about them. I don't think they have a weakness. I think they're really good offensively because Brian can go different ways. When you can post your guards up against other 6'3", 6'4" guards, I'm sure his eyelids was blinking when he saw our guards. And they post up 6'3", 6'4" guys. I mean, we're going to run 6-foot guys out there. They're going. So I'm sure their kids saw our film and said, it's going to be fun.
We have a question on the left here. Go ahead.
Kelvin, the guys back in the locker room just talking with them, saying, look, we learned from what happened in that conference tournament. How do they take that?
To learn
happened in-
what? Learn from what? Beating Wichita State?
Beating Wichita State and a tough loss to Cincinnati. They said that's something they can build upon. They learned the things they did good, the things they did bad.
No, I don't think they learned. I mean, we played 33 games. This is our 34th game. I think our kids are no different than Kansas kids or Pennsylvania's kids or San Diego State kids. This is our next game. You know, I think you've got to flush the last one, let it go, and get on to the next one. We played Sunday afternoon. You know, it's a short turnaround for us. 3 games in 3 days from, you know, Monday. We left yesterday. We're here today. We don't have a new offense to put in. We don't have a new defense to put in. You know, we take our system and put it against San Diego State system. I think this game's 50-50. I think we can beat San Diego State, but I think San Diego State can beat us too. I think it's that kind of game. Got to play good. Got to play. If we play good, we'll have a good chance. If they play good, that means we probably not going to play good, and they're going to have a good chance. Does that clear anything up for you?
Yeah, it's totally clear now. The other thing they want to do is make history for U of H basketball. UH hasn't won a tournament game since '84, and they're well aware of that.
Well, it's hard to win a game we haven't been in a tournament. So I think we need to start there. How many times have we been in a tournament since '80? What year did you say? So they haven't won a game since '84. So how many chances have they had? What? 5. So what are they, 0 for 5? Huh? So they have 4 chances. Yeah, so they've had 4 chances. I mean, I don't know what the question is. Yeah, I'm sure they would if you ask them, but that's not something we ever talk about or even think about. You know, I was really proud of our kids. You know, when that U of H went up on the board Sunday, that logo, interlocking U and interlocking H, that's a proud day. You know, because I remember where we were in 2014. You know, San Diego State's got a great history. You know, Steve Fisher, who's a very good friend of mine. I've known Steve for 30 years. I know what Steve did at San Diego State, and Brian was sitting right there with him all those years. So their program is established. They've been really good for a long, long, long time, whereas we're kind of a latecomer to the party. You know, 3 years ago, we went through 13 and 19, and that was a great year. I mean, that team could have went a lot worse than 13 and 19. Then the next year, we got a little bit better. The next year, pretty good again, and then this year, so you know, we're kind of 3 years into this thing, and here we are in the tournament. So we're happy about that, and I think our best days are ahead of us too. So I thought our first year would be our worst year while we were at Houston. But I don't think this will be our best year. I think our best years are going to be ahead of us. So, whereas with San Diego State, I've always watched Steve's teams play. I just was always amazed at their length and athleticism. You know, and I know how good Kawhi Leonard was, and Kawhi Leonard was, you know, it's not like he stood out on that team. I mean, that was a really good team. There was a lot of good players on that team. And it's like the team they have now, you can tell how good they're going to be in the future because they're freshmen. This McDaniel kid's special now. You know, he's not going to be 210 pounds forever. And that Mitchell kid, that boy's a load. He's a good player. So I think you got 2 programs that's just going to continue to get better. They're established. We're not. We're still fighting to get there. We need to continue to win and continue to be consistent. whereas San Diego State has been like that. But we have kids in this program, this is their first year at Houston, they're in the NCAA tournament, so when you start talking history to them, they don't know what you're talking about.
We got time for one final question here. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah.
Kelvin, at least in recent years, this hasn't been a program that's had, the players that are deemed 5 stars or McDonald's All-Americans. But I'm curious, as you've gone out and grabbed guys from the JUCO ranks or, other places, there's things you can teach, but is there a trait that you look at a recruit and say, I can work with this? This is a guy that could fit what I want to do.
Well, you talk about 5-star, who in our conference does? Well, why? I mean, nobody in our conference has 5 stars, except for maybe Connecticut. They have 5 stars. So, when we talk about junior college kids, we have as many high school kids as we do junior college kids. Fabian White was on the all-freshman team this year. Galen Robinson was on the all-freshman team 2 years ago. Rob Gray may have been a junior college kid, but Rob was a qualifier. Was a 3.3 student in junior college and had 3 years eligibility. So I've had him for 3 years, not 2. Chris Harris came from a junior college, and same thing academically. He's got 3 years. So we have a lot of kids that's here 3 and 4 years. It's not, sometimes we have to put things in proper context. We're not a junior college program. We have some really good junior college players, though. So what was your question?
Is there, something that you look at, you see a trait that, other things you may be able to teach, but is there a trait that you look at that you say, I can work with that, or that's something that'll fit my program?
Yeah, I think you guys, I just walked into the tail end of Devin and Rob's press conference. I think you can tell the intelligence level of both those kids. Those are smart kids. I like smart kids. It's hard to play this game if you can't think. It really is. Defense is about instinct, reaction, and basketball IQ. I can teach a lot of things, but I cannot teach instinct. I cannot teach IQ. I can't. Can't teach size either. But if you're coachable, if you have the ability to react and make multiple decisions in a short amount of time. Talent is always there. That's number one. You recruit good players. We all try to recruit good players, but I like to recruit smart kids. Devin's a very smart kid. Rob was one of those kids that, he graduated in December, but he could have graduated last December. He's an extremely, extremely bright kid. I have 4 seniors. Two of them have already graduated. The other 2 are taking single-digit credits to get their degree in May. So every kid in our program is on track to graduate from Houston, and they're all good students. They would graduate from anybody's college. So for me, I look at instinct. If a kid's on a 3-on-1 break, does he make the right decision? When the shot goes up, and does he block out or does he go after the ball? And is he pretty good at either one? I also like to recruit kids that come from good coaches, winning programs. Good coaches are usually good teachers. They teach kids. They come in advanced. Devin played his freshman. He played at Indiana. Came from a really good high school program, outstanding junior college coach at Odessa, at Trey Arnold's outstanding coach. Rob played for one of the best junior college coaches in the nation, Scott Raines at Howard. Excellent coach. Scott Raines would be a good coach anywhere. So I just think kids that are smart, kids that are tough, we can help them with the toughness. As long as they're not too far back, we can help them. I've had some that, it's hard to help them all. San Diego State's got a tough team, though. I like their toughness.
That's going to conclude today's session. Don't want to hold you up, Coach, from your practice shortly. Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
guys.
Our next session will start at 3:30 with Michigan. Thank you.